guys, for my third installment of my Halloween series, I felt it was appropriate to wear my raw sweatshirt because, I'm so scary, But I've already did my foundation and I made myself pale. If you need to see how I make myself super pale and lovely again, I'll post one of my previous videos in the description box. But right now, what I'm doing is I'm blocking out my lips to make them look a little bit more, I can't think of another way to say it other than undead. So I'm taking my Merle Norman Luxiva Pressed Powder Foundation in Ultra Bare, and I'm just kind of putting that all over my lips, and I smiled just then so that you can really see the cracks in my lips, so I can put some in there too. Now I'm just taking my Airspun loose face powder and setting my foundation with that because I hadn't done that yet, and of course this just lightens up my foundation just a little bit more. Now that we are the color of the undead, we need to sink in those cheekbones. This is the Jessie's Girl Loose Eyeshadow in Brown Sugar, and I'm just taking an Eco Tools foundation brush and carving out my cheekbones to high heaven. Look at that contour line. Oh my gosh. The goal with this purely is to not give yourself the contoured look that we wear all the time, but to make your cheeks look sunken in and like you haven't eaten in a few weeks. But literally with this, all you have to do is just blend out until your arm's about to fall off. And here in a minute, I go a little heavy-handed with the other side, but if you do that, see right here, yep, went a little heavy-handed, and I got a little panicked. I didn't know what to do. But it's an easy fix. I'm trying to rub some of it off, but if you can't get it all off, I just pick up more of my, Wet n Wild Color Icon palette, the contour palette, and grab the lighter shade, and just put a little bit of the light shade on top of the contour, and that will even it out just a little bit so it won't look so stark. It just kind of makes it a little bit more even with my skin tone and gives it more of a sunken in look. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I'm getting some more of that Jessie's Girl eyeshadow and I'm putting it right on my temples. And blending it out to make my temples also look more sunken in, make everything, just basically to make my face look like I have not slept or eaten in months and months. Basically make yourself look as undead as humanly possible. But that's what I'm doing there, is just blending out some of that eyeshadow to give myself more of a sunken in look. You didn't think I wasn't going to do an eye look with this, right? Well, even though I'm undead here, I have to do something to them, or else it wouldn't be a look from me. So I'm just taking my Wet n Wild eye kohl in Baby's Got Black, and I'm just smudging that into my lash line, and then literally just using my finger to drag it across. And I'm taking a Sephora angled liner brush and taking my BH Cosmetics gigantic palette and getting that matte black shade down the corner on that brush, and I'm just smudging out on top of the eyeliner we just did. Not only will that keep the eyeliner in place, but it also smokes it out a little bit and makes it look a little bit more messy. Do not worry if you mess up on this. It does not have to be perfect. Who do you know that is undead that is perfect? I mean, you will never see any undead makeup that looks absolutely perfect. So if it's a little bit messy, that's fine. Later on, I don't show it on camera, but I do go on my lower line as well and put some eyeliner and some black eyeshadow and just smudge it out as much as I can and make it look as messy as humanly possible. And now for the fun part. Find yourself some thick black thread, or if you don't have thick black thread like I do, just some normal black thread doubled up a couple times will work just as good. What I'm doing here is just taking some of the thread and sizing it on my mouth to see how long I need the strips to be. And now that glue I'm using is the Ardell lash adhesive. All you need with this is the lash adhesive and a Q-tip. And use a pretty good fair amount. I start in the middle of my lips, put one little dot right on top of my cupid's bow, and then one right underneath my lip. With this, you just kind of continue that pattern of putting the glue on, sticking the threads down, and then hoping to God they don't move while you put the other ones on. I actually had to trim this one to make sure it would stay down because it kept trying to come up. Just repeat this process throughout the entire however many threads you want to use, always measuring them and cutting them to the length you need. This is why I'm doing a voiceover for this and not talking to you like I normally do in my tutorials, because as you can see, I could not talk for this part of the tutorial. Trying to talk to my family was hilarious because I was having to just kind of grunt and make random noises to get them to understand me. But as you are putting them down the edges of your mouth, make sure you size them accordingly so they don't look like too gigantic and oversized for your lips. I had to trim them several times. Towards the end, once you have all your strings in place, I'm going to skip ahead just a tiny little bit. After the first layer of glue you have put down has dried, go ahead and put a tiny bit more of the adhesive on top. It builds it up just a little bit to make it look more realistic once you put the color on it, and it also will hold it in place a little bit better. Grab a hairdryer if you have to and set it on the coolest setting, and that should help dry the glue a little bit faster. Sexy Undead hair flip. Oh yeah. As you can see on this part, I already did my bottom lash line, so now what I'm doing is I felt like my eyes didn't look undead enough, so I'm just using a crease brush from Mary Kay and getting that matte black shade from my BH Cosmetics palette again, and then very messily running it in the crease and a little bit higher than my crease on my eye. That I was trying to blow some of the powder off of the brush, and you have no idea how hard it is to blow powder off of a brush until you cannot open your mouth very wide. If my lips really were sewn shut, I think I would probably lose my mind because it was so hard, you guys have no idea. This isn't very practical, I'm going to say that. This is not a practical look if you are planning on doing a lot of talking. If you're like in a haunted house or something, this might be cool, but if you're planning on going to like a Halloween party, this might not be for you. Okay, what I'm doing now is taking my Crown AC12 Duo brush, and I'm taking the little pointy end and just grabbing this little, kind of like, it has a bit of a shimmer to it. Okay, no, I forgot to take that part out, but I'm just grabbing a brown shade out of that palette and pressing it down on top of the strings and the glue. This will just better disguise the shine from the glue, and it will also make it appear to be more realistic and make it really look like it's coming out of your own skin. as you can tell, I went a little heavy-handed there on the corner of my mouth, and if you do that, don't worry. Here in a second, I will show you the color I use, but I just use a lighter shade from the BH Cosmetics palette right there, and I run that right in between the two parts that got a little bit too meshed together. Now what I'm doing is I'm taking my Clinique, I think it's their Chubby Stick. I can't remember the shade. I will look it up and put it in the description box, but I'm just taking that deep shade, deep red berry shade, and putting it on a Q-tip, and then putting that directly on top of what I just did with the brown. And of course this looks like blood, no duh. Sydney thought it looked really cool. I'm not gonna lie, she was impressed. I was impressed with it also. It didn't look too bloody and red, and there I just smudged it out with my finger a little bit. I was saying rawr. You couldn't hear me, but I was saying rawr, I promise. But every once in a while I just reach up with my pinky and just kind of smudge it out just to make it look a little bit more messy. But I felt like it almost looked like dry blood. What I was doing just then was the waving. The glue smells really bad, so that's what that was. Alright, children, this one gets a little bit dangerous. This is not for the makeup challenged, I suppose, this part. You could totally leave it with just what I've done so far. Me, of course, I had to take it to the bit of an extreme. So I'm taking a legitimate needle. This is a real sewing needle. It's not very sharp. It won't hurt me. I promise I was in no danger in the making of this. What I originally tried to do was just thread it through. It wasn't working, so I actually tied it around the needle and then attempted, keyword here is attempted, to stick it onto my face as I had done with the rest of the threads. But you will see here in a moment that didn't actually work. Once I stuck it on there, the needle was actually way heavier than I thought it was. It looked cool attached where it was, and I thought it was going to stay put. But when I tried to grab my hairdryer to dry the glue a little bit more, it fell off, as you will see here in a moment. And I was so mad because I didn't know what else to do. So, I actually ended up sticking the thread in my mouth, which was a challenge. You'll see, yep, there went the needle onto my lap, scared me to death. And then I kept trying to stick it back on. It wasn't working. I was so sad. That's my sad little undead monster face. I was determined. I just kept trying, and it wasn't working out. See, even people like me have their moments. We don't know what we're doing. So literally, I just stuck the thread in my mouth to the best of my ability. I stuck it in between the other threads. And this was the hardest part of the whole makeup, to be honest, because I didn't know how I was going to do this. I just managed to squeeze it in my mouth and held it there. I wasn't doing any talking anyway, so it was fine. And we have success. I was so excited when I finally got that thing in my mouth. You guys have no clue. That's pretty much it for the whole makeup. I actually really like the way it turned out. It's kind of glam, kind of undead, kind of scary. I've never done anything like this before on my channel, so I really hope you all enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions for me for future looks, let me know. Otherwise, comment, like, subscribe, do your thing, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye! When you want to be super cute and scary at the same time, but it comes out as some awkward zombie shimmy motion. Please excuse. And now for the fun part. Ow. Okay, that hurt. Ow. Oh my god, this is not, just a disclaimer, I probably said this in the video because I'm doing a voiceover for this. This is not practical. If you're wearing this to a Halloween party, you're probably going to need like a marker board or somebody to talk for you. Just saying. Oh god. Ouch. This is not... Okay. It looks cool. It looks cool. If you are dedicated, this will work for you. And the aftermath.